Hi, and welcome to another Crawford Podcasting Network. I've been down in the blocks with the very intelligent, storied Michigan Center, Chris Young, from now almost 20 years ago. I mean, let's see, 2002. You're hovering towards a 20-year alumni from the basketball program. But you still look young, Chris.
That's because I shaved this morning. That's why. Thank you.
There you go. Hey, and I appreciate that. Sunday morning shave from Chris Young. And let me tell you something. The NCAA is a one and done. We know that. And I don't care if you're a one playing to 16, and especially if you're a one, but you don't want to be that second team in the history of the NCAA tournament to be the second team. We saw what happened to Virginia and UM Baltimore County a couple of years ago. But and I was very, very confident Michigan was going to win this game, even worrywart me, as I typically am. But I'm telling you what, Chris, and correct me if I'm overstating, but I was I just had this reaction of not throwing in the towel here as far as Michigan getting to the Final Four, but it's like I was very discouraged after that game because to me the takeaway was without Isaiah Livers, almost as much on the defensive end, more than on the defensive end than the offensive end, then they're a shell of what they were without him, and it showed. Am I overstating my discouragement here, or what was your take on the Wolverines' 82-66 win over Texas Southern in the first round yesterday?
No, you're right. It was one of those frustrating wins where, the first 5 minutes, the guys came out and they were flying. They were running up and down the court. They were moving the ball on offense. They were playing great defense. And then they just kind of got sloppy on defense. They put up 82 points, so we can't really complain too much about the offense. But their defense, I don't know what the coaching staff – the coaching staff was telling them to do certain things and try certain things, kind of preparing them for, LSU tomorrow, or they just weren't listening to what the coaches were saying. But I mean, Texas Southern is not a good 3-point shooting team. They're bottom of the NCAA. They're 336 or something like that in the NCAA in 3-point shooting percentage. And yet we still were chasing guys to the 3-point line.
Right.
Which allowed.
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?
I don't know. I'm screaming at the TV like, does Hunter Dickinson get your big butt back underneath the basket and just clog it up, because he's out there contesting 3-pointers and they're driving the basket and getting layups, which is on the guy that's guarding the ball, but it's also on the rest of the guys who aren't playing help side. They're out worried about if their man's going to hit a 3 or not. So I don't like the way that they played defense yesterday. I do like, Zeb Jackson and Terrence Williams got some fairly significant minutes.
They did.
They came out and they showed, like, look, what we are, we're not going to be, the answer for Livers not being there, but at least we'll plug in some points. We'll be able to contribute to kind of make up for what he's not bringing.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And when I look at the box score, I mean, it's when I carve it up, I'm some things just discourage me. Okay, and Franz got 9 boards. Okay, and that's cool. And he did some positive things.
Yeah.
But damn, where is this guy? Where is this first round draft pick that's supposed to step up after Livers leaves? I haven't seen it.
No, you haven't seen it. I mean, if he would have played the type of game that we know that he's capable of, he would have had a triple-double yesterday.
Right.
He had 9, 9, and 6, and you didn't really think he was even part of what was going on the court. It was a real quiet, almost triple-double. So had he been his normal aggressive self on offense and his aggressive self on defense and, loud and boisterous and, yelling and screaming after getting an and one and all that, he puts up a triple-double. And we beat this team by 25, which is what we should have done. Instead, he's kind of floating in the background, just kind of letting things happen. We had 14 turnovers against a not very good defensive team. I mean, there was a lot of things to, as you said, to be discouraged about.
Right.
But now I say that, we've got something else to look forward to now. We put this one behind us, and we got to prepare for LSU. We got to, just move forward.
Well, okay, and I do need to keep perspective. So you're much smarter than me, and you played at the Michigan Wolverine level of competition. So you have way more credibility than me. but it's like I'm already preparing for the worst at the 7:10 p.m. tip-off Monday night against LSU. Now, granted, I wasn't a complete eyeball on that game and that win over St. Bonaventure, but I start to hear things from pundits who I, have some respect for.
Sure.
And I'm scared as shit about they're going to be eliminated and not get to the Sweet 16. How scared are you, Chris Young?
It's very possible. I mean, LSU is a very tough team. They're very athletic. They can shoot. They like to run up and down. And I think if LSU comes out and punches us in the mouth, I don't know that we've got the mentality right now to counterpunch. Right. I don't see it with this team. There's something missing with the mentality of all these guys. Hunter Dickinson's an All-American and Big Ten Freshman of the Year and stuff like that. And again, he was kind of like Franz Wagner yesterday, where he was just kind of on cruise control.
Right.
And I understand it's a one playing of 16, and you kind of in the back of your mind you're going to win, but you still have something to prove. And they went out and didn't show nationally anything. They didn't show to everybody like, look, we're fine without Livers being here. We're going to go to the Final Four even without arguably our best player. So now there's questions in everybody's mind as to what they're going to do tomorrow night and if they're going to be able to make it to the following weekend.
Okay, I got one metric. I got one line item here. It's a name that I want you, because I without this guy, they're not going to get to the Sweet 16. Well, this dude has to contribute. His name is Shawnee Brown. He had 16 minutes of work yesterday. Okay, that's a lot of opportunity in my mind. You get 16 minutes on the floor, that's almost half the game.
Yep.
Okay, 0-1 from the field, a 3-pointer. He didn't get to the free throw line. He got 2 boards. 2 boards, and also, I take it back. He had three boards.
3 boards.
I don't know.
He had 3 personal fouls, and then that's it for his stat line.
He had 3 personal fouls.
He didn't do. He was basically just out there running around.
Right.
And it's so disappointing because for 90% of the season, he was always the guy. Everyone keeps asking me, should we start Zeb Jack, or should we start Shawnee Brown, or should we start Brandon Johns? And you got to start Brandon Johns because we got to have that instant offense coming off the bench with Shawnee Brown. And he brings so much energy. And for the last 3 weeks, there's been almost nothing. He just comes in and you can tell he's focused and he's trying to do stuff, but there's no production there. It's a frustrating thing to watch for a kid that's as talented as he is to, not even be looking at his shot, not have any confidence when he does shoot it, and then not contribute in any other way. I mean, at least be a little bit aggressive and, you had 3 fouls, draw 3 fouls. Get some other guys in foul trouble. Try and do something, and he's not bringing anything right now. Well,
no, you're right. And when I say he's trying, I want to double down. I mean, all these kids, in my mind, this is from, they all want to win. They're also invested. You as a player know that.
Yes.
The investment and the commitment over the years since they were little kids is off the scale. The people like me have no appreciation for. Well, we do. We say it, but do we really feel it? Okay. Yeah. And so we get caught up. And because we live vicariously through our school and their athletes. And so I'm being self-deprecating here, but I'm being real. But all that being said, I guess I got spoiled by Shawnee Brown in some of these games early on. Now, as far as T. Will goes, T. Will's an interesting guy because he's got, when you look at him, his body language, he's got this really confident look to him, which I like.
Yes.
He looks like I'm going to do this, and he did some positive things.
Yes,
I thought in this game. He had 4 points. That's, he might be that guy. I'm looking for that guy, and I'm going way back to the days in these Final Four runs. Spike Albrecht and Tommy Staten. I go back to the 70s. These guys that came in and contributed something when not expecting it. Yeah. And maybe T. Will is a guy. Maybe Zeb Jackson is a guy. I love the bench reaction, Chris, when off that timeout when he had hit that second 3.
Yeah.
And I go, wow. That's an optic I love seeing.
Yeah.
They embrace this guy. He's got to be. I mean, and Juwan talked about it after the game. He brings it in practice. T. Will and Zeb. I am more confident contributing on Monday night than I am with Shawnee, in my humble opinion.
Oof, yeah, that's a tough statement right there, because I mean we all know what Shawnee Brown has been capable of this year and what he did at Wake before he came in. I mean, the kid's a flat out player, he's a flat out scorer, but there's just something missing right now. But to get back to T. Will, you're right. He's got this look to him where he's got a nose for the ball, and he
does.
You can tell he's just like he's so raring to go, and he's like
Florida. Every kid from Florida has swag. I don't care if it's football or basketball. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he's so ready to go, and you can tell he just wants to go out there and play his best and do everything he can do and contribute where he can. And you can tell there's like an excitement to him when he gets on the court. And then Zeb Jackson comes in, and he's that kind of he's that calm, cool, like I'm just gonna kind of cruise through and stuff like that. And then it's pop, pop, and he hits the three. It's like, okay, yeah, I like it. A good shot. And then, like you said, they came out of the timeout and he hit the second one, and the bench went nuts. And if you look back, when we were beating Wisconsin, when we're winning these games, when we're beating Iowa, that's what the bench was doing on every play. It didn't matter who made a shot. They were going crazy. And now, because of the way the bench is kind of set up, where everybody's 6 feet away and all up in the stands and all this other nonsense, yeah, they're getting into it, but it's nothing like what it was. Jason was kind of the orchestrator of, doing all these, fantastic things on the bench and celebrating and doing all this animated stuff. And you're not really seeing that now. And I think that's really hurting the energy of the guys on the floor. Because you could see, like, Hunter Dickinson would get a dunk and he'd look over to the bench, and, Austin Davis would be doing something, and they would have like a half a second of an interaction. And you don't really see that now. And I think that's something that's really hurting this team, because they feed off of that energy.
Yeah, and I got to call her and say, hey, T. Will's from Maryland. I'm thinking of Shawnee Brown is from Orlando. But Maryland kids are savvy and moxie, and that certainly fits with T. Will. Okay, I want to go back, in particular because he's playing your position in Hunter Dickinson. And he seems to be vulnerable to hands being poked at him. You know what I mean? And not so much getting bodied up or walled up, but smaller guys, discombobulating him.
Yeah.
And he gets disheveled more than I've seen him earlier in the year. I mean, if I'm LSU, I'm looking at film on what's happened the last 3 weeks. And that's the formula. Just kind of do karate chops at this guy and hopefully don't get pick up fouls, right?
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Whoever is guarding him, wall up. Just get your hands up, get into his body, push him out. Don't let him get to that left-hand jump hook. And then whatever guards on that strong side, whatever guards on top, get in there. Get a hand in there. I mean, he had turnovers yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, 6 turnovers by a big man.
I mean, for a big, that's unbelievable. That can't happen. I mean, the very first play of the game, they ran a great play. He slid across the lane, caught the ball, did a nice turn, left-hand jump hook, bucket. Great. And after that, he had to fight and claw and grab for everything because they were just mucking it up with him. And he tries to do kind of the same moves every time. And they know he gets the ball. He's either going to his left-hand jump hook or he's spinning to the baseline, and there's hands there. And he's got to be prepared that you can't take 5 dribbles in the post anymore. You got to take 1 dribble and get to your move.
Right. Chris, I mean, when you look at what happened yesterday, and let's be real, I mean, with all the upsets, I mean, my God, I stayed up till midnight last night, and Abilene Christian, a team that a couple of years ago was the worst rated D1 program in the country, statistically, they knock off Texas, which is a hell of an athletic team and one that a lot of people had in the Final Four. So, and we saw what happened with Ohio State. To Oral Roberts and all the other. We got 13s beating 4s and the whole bit. So it's the NC2A. Okay, so everybody gets can live in misery when you have upsets like this. But so we got a 16-point win. Moving forward, what does Michigan have to do? What's the biggest? So on Coach Chris Young's to-do list of priorities, keys to the game for Michigan to beat LSU. At least give me 2, if not 3, the things that you're looking for optically when you start watching at 7-10 on Monday night.
Well, the first thing is that on offense, they got to keep the ball moving. It can't turn into a one-on-one game. It can't be, Mike Smith gets the ball, and he's just got to go one-on-one and try and break people down and try and create something. That's not Michigan. They've got to, their half-court sets have got to be crisper. The ball's got to move. Second thing is they have to get out and run on offense. They got to secure defensive rebounds and get out and transition.
Right.
This is a good transition team, and that's one of the ways to get Franz Wagner back engaged is that, we get a defensive rebound or he gets a steal and he takes off and he gets a layup or a dunk on the other end. And the third thing is that we got to shut down driving lanes. We cannot let everybody penetrate against us and get right to the rim for layups. And it didn't matter which one of our guards was guarding somebody, everybody got beat. Eli Brooks got beat off the dribble 3 or 4 times. Shawnee Brown got beat off the dribble. Everybody got beat off the dribble, where it's literally man against man. I have to guard you. One move and they're around our guys.
Well, why is that? Okay, so I'm going to go back to that thing about Livers' departure, because I know Isaiah Livers is the captain of the defense in the 3-quarter game defensively, on the semi-breaks and the breaks, and then also in the half-court defense. I mean, what does he do? Is he a communicator out there? What is he called, the switches? Well, why is his absence so glaring? Because it is. It's obviously.
Yeah, it really is glaring. He was the, for lack of a better term, he was the quarterback of the defense. He was the one that was making all the calls and stuff like that. And normally, when I played, that was always my role. I'm the biggest guy. I don't really have an indoor voice. I've got a kind of a booming voice. So I was back directing traffic. Hunter Dickinson doesn't really have that mentality yet. It was Livers that did that. And then when Austin Davis comes in, you can see him doing that. He's pointing.
He does do that. You're right.
And, this and this and this. And, he knows what the calls are. And he's saying, oh, this screen's coming here and all this kind of stuff. But we don't really have, Eli Brooks is not that type of vocal leader. Mike Smith is not that type of vocal leader. Johnny Brown's not that type of vocal leader when he's not playing well on offense. When he's playing well on offense, he's made a couple shots, he gets a steal, he does something good, then you see him. Then he's down, he's clapping, he's smacking the floor, and he's dialed in on defense.
Right.
When his offense isn't flowing, that doesn't translate. So, we're missing that quarterback of the defense that's going to tell everybody what to do and when to do it.
Right.
And that's the biggest issue we have right now on the defensive side.
Well, and that they have LSU's got this kid, this freshman guard. His name is Cameron Thomas. He's number 24, people. So keep your eye on number 24. Yeah. He's 6'4", and Eli is going to have to shut this dude down. Because this guy, and this I see not just, and I was watching on the other a little bit of that win over St. Bonaventure, but I've seen LSU in the SEC tournament a couple times. This dude's a baller. Eli has got to harness this guy, and he's going to have to get some help, I'm thinking, doing that.
Yeah.
Who's the other helper? Who's the other helper to Eli Brooks in stopping this guy?
I mean, it's going to have to be Shawnee Brown when he gets in the game. He's going to have to be, pick him up 94 feet and make him work. But the thing they have to do, along with guarding him on defense, is that they have to make him play defense also. Try and draw some fouls on this guy. Attack him. Don't let him just go back and play nice and easy help side defense, and you're not really doing anything. Right. You got to make him work on both ends of the court. Maybe you'll wear him down. Maybe you'll pick up some fouls on him. If he doubles down on Hunter Dickinson or one of the bigs, kind of go at him a little bit. See if you can draw a foul on him because he's reaching it. Those are the things you have to do with players like that, especially younger players like that, where they might be more susceptible to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we wrap this up, and we're gonna be doing another one of these either Monday night late or Tuesday after this Titanic matchup with LSU, and all on the broadcast networks, all the studios, they're pointing at this LSU Michigan game as must see TV. Yeah. So Michigan is going to be on the bullseye because everybody's thinking that they're going to lose. So. I'm not saying they're going to be. I mean, they're 5-point favorite, okay, and they're the number 1 seed. But can Michigan leverage the fact that people are starting to second guess them and disrespect them without Isaiah Livers? I mean, can you feed off that if you're Michigan?
Well, they should. I mean, whenever everyone's counting you out, that's when you step up. Michigan came back from that COVID break and had to go play Wisconsin, and we know what happened with that. We had to play Iowa, and everyone counted us out, and we beat Iowa. Yeah. We had to beat Michigan State at home, and everyone's like, yeah, they should win, but we'll see. It was an important game, and they stepped up. This is one of those games where they have to step up. Everyone goes back to the Ohio State game in the Big Ten tournament where, they had to win to get to the finals and blah, 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 but you could tell they weren't really that interested. Well, now they better be interested. This is the game to step up because it's win or go home.
Yeah, you make a really good point of the and this has been an optic that I've seen the last few weeks. There was a when Texas and this I'm saying this about Texas and they lost Abilene Christian, but there was a period of time in that game when they were cooking. Texas was, and I go, oh my God, that's what I saw with Michigan. I saw rotation of the ball without the ball hitting the floor.
Yep.
That extra pass. And so, I mean, the old Illinois coach, Lou Henson, says there's going to be, minimum 5 or 6 passes when you get set up in the half court before that ball's going up. And I go, oh my word, there's Michigan. That was the Michigan. And now what I'm seeing right now is Mike Smith kind of doing the curly Neal stuff, going underneath, coming back out. Can that offense come back, Chris, or is it are on film other teams seeing that they're not going to allow that? Where did that go? That was so beautiful to see early in the year.
I think it's everybody just trying to be like, okay, well, Livers is gone, so we have to do more. So we can't necessarily look for that extra pass to get someone that's really wide open. I have to shoot this shot. I have to create something. It's almost like they're forcing the issue instead of letting the game come to them and having the ball get kicked out from Hunter Dickens and then bam, 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 it's all the way back around the court. He rolls back around to the other side, reposting the layup. Yeah. We haven't seen that because at some point that ball's going to die in someone's hands because it's time to shoot because we don't have Livers. We have to get something going. We have to get an offensive set going. We can't rely on 2 more passes and then hopefully a shot or hopefully the ball goes back inside.
Maybe that. Yeah, I think you're right. It's like
a lot here. It's got nothing to do with the physical side. It's all between the ears. It's all them just thinking too much. And if we had, if we had another month playing without Livers and then the NCAA tournament started, I think we'd be just fine.
Really?
We might not win the national championship. We might not go to the Final Four, but everything would look that much better, that much cleaner because you'd be used to playing without one of your top guys. Now, I mean, we've been a week without playing with them. So,
and the other thing, when we've had 3 or 4 interviews with Isaiah Livers post injury, and he was you talk about a shell of himself. I mean, he was hurt. So we've been playing without Isaiah Livers being Isaiah Livers to the caliber that Isaiah Livers was.
Yeah, since the Illinois game.
Yeah, since when this whole thing started, and it's been kind of unraveling as it, as it goes. Yeah, you're right. I endorse hang on every word you're saying. I think it is a mental thing, and I still go back to that Minnesota game, the first loss for Michigan. And Mike Smith says we don't panic, okay? And I understand that. But I tell you what, in that Minnesota game up at the barn, they panicked in the first 4 minutes of that second half. They were doing exactly what you just said.
Yep.
They were trying, I got to make something happen, man. This is not going good. And they got away, and then the game got totally away from, they got blown out by a team that didn't even make the tournament. And their coach just got fired. So it's not like this is all of a sudden happening at the end of the year. It happened in January, but one final. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen before we let you go, Chris Young, here on the Crawford Podcast? What do you expect is going to happen Monday night? Are you expecting victory? I know it's going to be a root canal either way, but what do you expect?
I think it's going to come down to the end of the game. I think it's going to be a 3 to 5 point game, kind of pretty much back and forth the whole way. One team might get up 10, then the other team comes back and gets up 10. I think it's going to be a very much a back and forth. But, I got to go back with Michigan. I'm thinking probably 77-70 for Michigan. Michigan making some free throws at the end to kind of put them away.
That'd be nice.
I mean, they're this team that we have without Livers is capable of beating LSU. Now, it's which team is going to show up. Is it going to be the team that goes up to the barn and has 18 turnovers? Is it going to be the team that has 14 turnovers against Texas Southern, or is it going to be the team that has 2 turnovers for the game? Which team's going to show up?
Yeah,
it'll be very disappointing that if one of these more relaxed with the ball teams, the teams that like to kick the ball around the gym and stuff like that, show up and they end up losing, because with all the hard work that these kids did all year and the promise that they had of, winning championships and hanging banners and all that, for them to go out that way, that would be a very, very tough pill to swallow. I know for the guys and then for us fans also.
Well, one thing I do wrap my head around and my arms around is they're Big Ten champs. And, you know, that's why I'm big on winning league titles, regular season titles, because it's a tangible. Because let's be real, the NCAA tournament, we've been seeing it the entire – we saw it in the play-in games, and we saw it here in the first round. You know, it's the magic of March, and it's you know, you can't count on any. And that's why this tournament, in my opinion, is the most popular sporting event in the world, at least in this country, because of the uncertainty and you know, what we saw last night and throughout. You know, we saw it on Friday and we saw it on Saturday. Chris Young, another great job as always. We will connect after hopefully a Michigan victory. That would be nice that they move on to the Sweet 16. This team is still, like you said, it's capable of beating LSU without Isaiah Livers. I like that statement. That's a strong statement.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Till next time, Chris Young. Great job.